driver is in terms of what was your best correction. So you have to let the ball go for a second. So what I want you to do is with your knees all bent up, go feel where your driver was, so either the upper rings or the segments in your neck. Or Dave, what you're going to do is you're going to take that right shoulder blade and you're just going to be aware of it right now. Just feel what it's doing. And what I want you to do is just start to do a short head and neck curl up. Just whatever an automatic head and neck curl up is for you. Just lift your head up off the floor. Get a sense of how heavy or hard it is to do that. And down. Pick one leg up off the floor, one foot up off the floor. And down, and then the other one. So this is the way you're, Katie, you probably have your knees bent up, so make the lever arm shorter for your patients. You're looking for a task that they can test to see whether or not you've got a good correction. So it's either short head and neck curl or lifting one leg or the other. Okay. Now, if your upper rings are the things that seem to be most problematic, go to your upper rings and stack them, correct them. If it was your neck, go to your neck, to the specific levels in your neck, either with one hand or two hands. Dave, what you're going to do is you're going to, so Kathy or Rachel, if you can go just correct Dave's shoulder, take him through, show how to do shoulder loop, get your shoulder on correct your shoulder position. Now, do you have a good correction? Gently start to lift your head up off the table or off the mat, see if it makes it any easier, yes, no. Lift a leg. So all we're doing is loading the system to see is this a really good correction. Now, keep your correction, whatever that is. Take a big belly breath in, nice breath into your belly, and breathe out. Just settle on the mat, just land on the mat, let everything go. Get into your body and out of your heads. Very gently now, correct your rings in your neck, so stack your neck, stack your rings very gently. Hold the correction and repeat your breath. So breathe into your belly. Breathe into your side ribs. Find the breath that pulls on your neck or your rings or your shoulder blade the most. And see if you can use the breath creatively to release, relax, reintegrate, let go of whatever it is that's been holding. If you found a good release cue, think about that, creating space in the back of your neck, creating space in the front of your chest, letting your clavicle drift away from your sternum. So thinking about creating space, the movement, keep that now, and you can either use a manual correction or an image correction. And all I want you to do now is walk your feet out to the edge of your mat. And then on the inhale breath, take an inhale breath, big breath in. And then as you exhale, take your knees over to the left. Inhale to hold. Exhale to bring your knees back up. Now instead of bringing the knees back up, thinking about the knees, this next time when we go to the right, I want you to bring your knees back up by using your pelvis. So take a nice breath in. Exhale, take your knees to the right. Inhale to hold. Exhale, gently connect to that deep muscle system and then derotate your pelvis on your thorax and let your knees come back with your pelvis. Let's go one more time. Inhale. Exhale, connect. And that connect cue is now going to be either for neck control, ring control, core control. So if you found that you need a little bit more TA control, then your focus is going to be drawing the hip bones together in the front. If it's it's thoracic ring control, it would be more about creating space between your ribs. If it's in your neck, you're going to think about that guy wire from the back of the manubrium through to your neck and think about growing long. If you're a cranial driver, you're going to think about widening your ears. Let your ears go apart. Okay, so the decompressing occipital-temporal suture. Okay, and everything associated with that. Inhale, exhale, and come back. Now, by the time we're getting to this point, you've had enough help and some manual release so that the possibility is there for you to be able to move your shoulder girdle independent from your rings. This next exercise will not get this for you. You need to have the manual release first. So you're going to lie on whichever side you want to. The working side is going to be uppermost. So if you want to actually learn to dissociate your right shoulder girdle from, your left shoulder girdle from your left rings, lie on your right side. If you want to go the other way, go on to the other side. So whichever one is more problematic for you, take the ball that we gave you, and this is where we need to stagger. So I'll either flip the other way or go up or down. Just make sure you've got some room. All right, so the ball is nearly under your hand, and your arm is now flexed forward to about 90 degrees. And ideally, you would like the height of the ball to be, which is why I gave Mark and Lassa the biggest balls that I had, so that your hands were up. Okay? You don't want the shoulder girdle necessarily in horizontal adduction, particularly for that AC joint. Okay? All right. So now, what you're going to do from this position here is very gently, you're just going to think about connecting the arm bone into the scapula. So you're just going to hug the arm in towards the scapula, wake up the rotator cuff a little bit. And now, keeping your rings just firmly grounded onto the mat, I want you to see if you can just roll the ball back towards you and retract the scapula. So Kathy and Rachel, just go around and put your hands on some of them. Make sure this is scapular specific, okay? Then slide the ball forward. So we're going through retraction and protraction of the shoulder girdle. Now, as you're doing that, you may be feeling that, or you may not be feeling, that there's loss of control and or loss of mobility or dissociation between the ribs and the scapula. So now, with your other hand, you're going to go to either your neck or to your rings, wherever you were feeling that you needed the most help. Monitor what happens to that ring or neck segment as you protract and retract. Make it really specific about initiating the movement from the shoulder blade. Keep the humerus connected to it. This is not about elbow flexion extension. It's more about the sliding, gliding nature and getting the scapula to slide and glide around the ring. So when you get to the point when you feel the rib cage start to go, if you're on a ring, you feel the rib cage start to rotate with it. Slow down, Howard. Stop at the point where you feel the thorax start to move. Stabilize the rib cage a little bit, the rings with your hand, and then see if you can get a little bit more reach. A little bit more. Similarly, if your hand is on your neck, if you feel the lower neck vertebrae, feel the neck vertebrae getting dragged along with it, hold the vertebra back. So remember, create some space, a little bit of traction on the neck, derotate the vertebra away, let it correct, and now see if you can slide the shoulder blade around the rib cage without your neck going for a ride. What is that amplitude movement? And this may be as far as they go. Ring stack and breathe, neck stack and breathe with wipers left and right, and then they're laying on their side starting to learn to dissociate that movement. Okay? that may be the end of their practice. Now, as they're starting to get good at this and they can actually start to isolate or move the shoulder without getting ring and neck movement, you can progress this to plug the arm bone in, so connect the humerus into the scapula. And now you're going to abduct, take your hand up towards the ceiling, but not past perpendicular. Okay, so now we can let the weight of gravity, let the shoulder blade retract more onto the back of the thorax. Your other hand, of course, is monitoring whatever it is that loses control for you, so either the thorax or the neck. And now same thing. Initiate the movement from the shoulder blade. So this is really good scapular, serratus, lower tract, integration, right? Let the arm float back down onto the ball. Up to the ceiling. Yep. And then just let gravity control gravity. There you go. Now, further progression from that would be bring your hand that's on the floor now onto your upper rings. Even if you're a neck driver, bring them onto the upper rings. Reach your hand up to the ceiling. Retract the scapula, slide your scapula back. Now, keep the arm connected, so this is not about the glenohumeral joint. You're now going to rotate further through the thorax. So let the rings now rotate back towards the floor. Do not lose the engagement of the arm. Now you're going to pull back using your obliques and your pec. Bring the rings back. Now we're keeping the arm exactly where it needs to be. Now moving the rib cage over the arm. Okay? Okay. How'd you feel it, Joel? All right. So you're getting thorax rotation under the neck with a very still shoulder. Shoulder. Okay? All right? You feel that? Thorax. Shoulder, and then rings come back, rings come forward, keep your neck long, rings come back, forward, that's better, that's it, that's it. All right, getting this back, being able to move your upper thoracic rings and not have it drag your neck is huge for anybody who's involved in things like tennis or squash or throwing a ball. Being able to have your head and neck go one way and your rings go the other. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of touch and facilitation to find that. Okay, and then bring the arm back. And of course the hand up towards the ceiling just acts as an assist because gravity is helping with that a little bit, right? So if that's too much on the arm, you can also do it just through the shoulder girdle. Get in.
Oh, I see. So I go.
Just let the arm go back. And now as you rotate it back, your rotation is from Now, thorax is moving, head staying still. Now, Now, people like to do this with their eyes closed, but if you have your eyes open, the gaze often, what they're looking at often will maintain the head righting reflex, okay? All right, so now you're going to turn on to your back. And this is where you now want to, the wider, I wish I could have brought all my toys, but the wider yoga block works best to have something between your hands. The ball is too much horizontal adduction. You really want the shoulder width to be, your hands to be shoulder width apart. Yeah, that's good. So pick a towel, a block, 2 blocks, something like that. You can use the ball. All right, now, first of all, you're going to take your arms just up to 90 degrees. And bend your knees up if they're not, so down, bend your knees up. Good, just putting your feet on the floor because legs are straight. Okay. Now, slowly just take your arms up overhead. Take your arms up overhead. And see if you can feel in your body when your lower rib cage starts to lift, or your neck loses control, or what that point is in the range where you start to lose it. Bring your arms back to 90 degrees. So now what I want you to do is to really keep your rib cage connected to your pelvis, not by narrowing the infrasternal angle, not by widening it, but by keeping that angle the same. So you synergize the abdominals and just anchor the lower rib cage down. Okay. Now take your arms up over your head. And then bring them back down. Read sheep. So many ways of this one, right? Create some space right here. Create some space. Widen your clavicles. There you go. That's good. Bring the arms back up. I like this one too. I prefer it to having your hands on the wall and going up. I think we can be way more specific with this. You can set the alignment first, but this is a much higher progression than you need to have things dissociated.
So, are you supposed to let your elbows?
Now, put your balls down, or your block, or whatever you're holding. All right, and bring your arms down to your side. Put your hands on the level where you've had poor control, or whether it's your thorax or your neck, or it's your shoulder blade, that day you're going to set your scapula, or just feel your scapula on the mat. And just do one arm elevation. So with one hand, feel either your neck or your rings or one part of it. And then just lift one arm up to 90 degrees and feel if you have control or not. Does your neck shift? And keep it just to 90 degrees. Does your neck shift? Your rings shift? And then come on back down. Now, find your connect cue. So if it's in your thorax, you're going to let your side body grow long, create some space between your ribs, space between your vertebrae. Imagine the ribs at the front, the side, and the back, all those intercostals floating apart. Keep that. And now take the arm up to 90 degrees and see if that helps you to control. See if you've got better control. If it was in your neck, again, imagine a guy wire from the back of the manubrium through to the vertebra of interest in your neck. Keep that, lift your arm to 90 degrees. And now from here you can do elbow flexions, so one set tricep curl, bend the elbow down and straighten. This is when we start training rotation control for the neck, rotation control for the upper thoracic rings. You can do it in pronation or supination, depending on what your ultimate goal is in terms of helping this arm to do. But you're really just reinforcing the connect key. You can take the arm out into horizontal abduction, much higher task if you're working on the nervous system, neural system stuff. So people who have altered neurodynamics, you may be working on sliders and gliders with rear neck correction. So bring your hand down to your side, turn your hand palm up, and with one hand, just monitor your area of core control. Slide your arm out to the side, so abduct with your hand up, palm up. And feel for the timing as to when your rings shift, your neck rotates, something goes funny. Bend your elbow at night with it. Yes, exactly. Extend your wrist. So this is that whole upper limb tension test, right? Bend your wrist, bend your elbow. This is a full ulnar nerve. I know, not happy, right? Ooh, where's the tension? So now, go and correct your rings of your neck. So facilitate your alignment. And you want them to be able to start doing this when they've had enough release, that they can do it with images. So use your imagery now to stack your rings, to stack your neck. Use your connect cue. And then see if you can get more abduction, more elbow flexion, more wrist extension. Note the difference than this. This is how we start now to mobilize the nervous system. And if you are a dural driver, this will make you feel insane. This is not the thing to do. This is not the way to stretch the nervous system. We do this when the nervous system is irritated because of skeletal shifts, right? Shifts in the skeleton that are irritating the nervous system. Correct the skeleton, and then the nervous system, you can mobilize the nervous system nicely. But this will make it worse if it's in reverse. Okay? So some ideas for rotation control, rotation loading in a very, very supportive environment. Okay? And that may be all that you're getting the person to do. Okay, now come up onto your hands and knees. Now you can start this one. If you just have a look at the slide for a second. If somebody is not able to take a lot of weight, like I wouldn't be able to do this on my hands and knees right now, you could back it up a little bit, and you can start from standing at the wall to having them come down supported onto the elbows. So this is a really nice way to have low loading and then medium loading, and then take it up to more higher levels of load. Okay, so I'm going to start you here, but recognize that you can back it back a little bit. All right?
Different way that we move.
Yeah, it's very different. Yes. Exactly. Okay. So now, from this position here, I want you to come up into high kneeling, or else to sitting back on your heels like Howard was. So just sit back onto your heels like that. And go monitor your upper chest or your neck. Go feel for your segments of core control. Now see if you can just use the connect images to realign and stack and your Lego blocks. Keep that. Float your arms forward and back. Float your arms forward and back. And really go inside into your awareness to see if you feel anything in your thorax or your neck shift. It should feel light. It should feel effortless. It should feel easy. Bend your elbows now. And come down onto your elbows and knees. Come down onto your elbows and knees. And you want your elbows directly underneath your shoulder. And your elbows should be shoulder width apart. And your hands should be parallel to the outside of the neck. Right? And that's tough for you, so that tells me that your internal rotators are a little bit tight. Okay? Now, really let your arm bones plug into your scapula so that you really feel the weight on the top of your shoulders. Okay? Now, if it's your neck you're looking for control on, go again and engage that connect cue from the back of the manubrium to whatever level is your neck. Think about your neck growing long. If it's in your thorax, same thing. Think about lengthening your thorax. Now, from that position, all I want you to do is now pelvic rock back. So now we're going to start to get pendulum movement happening at the glenohumeral joint with neck and ring control. Now you can take as much weight through your elbows as you feel that you can handle. Okay? So you can start them off with really low load. You can change the position of the hands to be be one of supination. So for people who use their hands a lot for work, you may find that starting in the supinated position is the easier way to start to get freedom of movement here. And a progression would be to keep your elbows under your shoulders, and now see if you can turn your hands palm down, spread your fingers, push your index finger into the mat, and you may feel there's some fascial line that starts to wake up your arm. Now, specifically widen your collarbones, externally rotate your upper arms. Keep that. Keep your big toe, or your big toe, yeah, right. Your index fingers pushing into the mat, and see now if you can rock forward and back. Are there any long arm vectors showing up that are connecting to your neck or your rings? For most of us that use our arms all day, there certainly are forearm vectors. Okay, back you go, forward you come. Okay. Now you can, if it's specifically one arm than the other that you're working on, you may, as you rock back, wow, you've only been out loving our squash player, that's not Now, take your sitting bone off to the right. So as you rock back, take your sitting bone off to the right, and so that you'll feel the stretch more on that right side. Then come on back up and go the other way. So we're just exploring to see, this one's much easier, okay? We're just exploring to see, are there any vectors from the arm? So we're controlling the arm position, hand position, controlling the neck, controlling the rings, and trying to get length and ease and freedom from vectors going down from, from the upper quadrant to the lower quadrant. And for me, there's a big difference between whether I have my hands, and for Lhasa too, pronated. Now, if Lasa's hands love to drift towards each other, so if you find your hands love to drift towards each other, then this would be a good time to put a block or to put a piece of doweling or something of that width between your hands, just to bring awareness to the fact that they're rolling in. Okay? Okay, now come back up onto your hands and knees. So now what you're going to do is take a step with your right foot. Step your right foot forward. So you're going to go into a low lunge. So your left knee's on the floor and your right foot's forward. Now, go to your area of lost control, your neck, your thorax, your shoulder blades. So in this position, you're going to do a shoulder girdle correction. Some of you are going to do C7, C2, C3, cranium if you know where you're going. Some of you are going to do pelvis, some of you are going to do thorax. So correct something. Correct something. Okay? Now, just rock forward and back. Correction. Tuck your toes under in the back. Rock forward onto your right foot and see if you can float the back knee up. Bend into the right knee, slowly lower down. Put your left knee back down on the mat. Walk up. Much higher level task, okay? But for a runner, definitely something we need to be able to do. So you can use your hands to feel whether or not you're using control, wherever you need it. But ultimately, you need to be able to find the brain map and the cues. So use your connect cue, use your release cues. And then switch sides. So come down into high kneeling on the other side. Check the position of your pelvis. A lot of people will start off in a lateral tilt. So on the side of the leg that's flexed, so on your left leg, just reach your sitting bone down towards the floor, correct the lateral tilt. Stick your butt out backwards so that your groin softens on both sides. Keep your groin nice and soft. Monitor the hip position. Come back up to tall. At some point you may feel, particularly if your thorax or your neck is driving that deep front line to displace the hip, you may feel the femoral head pop forward. So monitor the femoral head on the side of the hip that's extending. And see if you can find the place where it goes forward. If it does at all. If it doesn't, you don't have to do this. And now go to your area of loss of control. Change it. Images, cues. Hopefully that's getting easier. See if it changes your available range of motion in that hip as you rock forward and back. This may be all you get them to do, is to coordinate, synergize hip movement with the drive correcting. Keep your toes tucked, keep the ring supported, your neck supported, so you can float your knee up and back. Let the knees back down. Soften the groin. And you can go right the way back into hamstrings right if you want to, but for now this is deflection and extension, so you don't have to go up. Same thing, 3-4 times. Go that. Okay, now switch sides again. We got a knee forward. So now we need to add on the thoracic rotation. So ensure that your femoral head is nice and centered. Ensure that your femoral head is nice and centered. Go to your area, after thorax. And what I want you to do, so right knee that's up, you're going to rotate your thorax to the right. Keep your head facing straight forward. Keep your thorax to the right. All right. So we're getting left neck rotation, right thoracic rotation. Maybe you have to focus more on controlling what's happening in the neck. Maybe you have to focus more on what's happening in the thorax. A progression would be to do what Mark is doing. So we increase the lever arm, take your arms out front, bring your fingertips together. If you approximate your fingertips together and you create a closed chain, this starts to be a little bit easier. Rotate from your thorax first. Then add your scapula. Retraction. Bring the scapula back. Rotate your thorax. So now we're layering on. Taking the thorax to the right. Look at me, Noako. Head to the left. And then retracting the shoulder girdle. Isn't this belly rubbing, head tapping, stomping? Where's the music? Okay, so you can just play with what they can do. For a thrower, for a runner, for squash, being able to move your shawl, rotate the shawl, dry your back with the towel is what we're doing, right? Rotating that around without it dragging your head around. Now, keep that. Keep that. Flex forward. Tuck the outside of your right elbow, left elbow, on the outside of your right knee. Side body long, a few breaths here. Inhale, grow long. Stack your neck. Open your rings. Are you ready? Connect to your pelvic floor, connect to your core. Side body long, lengthen your neck, let your back a little bit look up. If it doesn't float and you're working too hard, you're not ready for this. Take your right arm now up towards the ceiling. Right on your back. Bring your hand back down together. Together, float your knee back down. And release. Switch sides. Hey, it didn't say it was going to be easy. Sure, big move. Okay, same thing here now. All right, so rotate your thorax, keep the gaze straight ahead. People lose this, I tell you, in White Rock, if you're driving behind these guys with fedoras and they're really short and they have veterans plate on their car, watch out, because when they look to see if they could change lanes, they turn the car at the same time because they can't dissociate rotation of the thorax one way and maintain and keep the head and neck going the other. So now as you rotate the thorax, first initiate from the thorax. So this is all about your obliques, your back extensors and your oblique abdominals, right? Rotate that. Keep that. And now rotate your shoulder blades. Bring your hands out front. Thorax first, shoulder blade. Shoulder blade back, thorax back. grow long up your rings, flex forward now with the outside of your right knee, or right elbow on the this left and right kills me. I could never be a yoga instructor. Push on the outside of your left knee, tuck your back toe. Hug your elbow to your knee, connect to your core, stack your rings, lengthen your neck, float back. Hug your thighs together. If you do this, you'll get your stability down. Draw your adductors in into your core. If you can let your left arm go and float it up towards the ceiling, I'm going to do that right now. It's nice, beautiful, Mark. Nice. Look at that length down. You'd be an awesome curler. Great. Beauty, beauty, beauty.
Don't move.
Stay there because. Yes, yes, yes. Go, go, go.
Don't move.
Fantastic. And then come on back. Float back down. Okay, come on, outstanding. Great, and now standing, start to make it a little bit more simple. Arms up overhead. Hang on to your right wrist with your left hand. Now, if your ribs have popped forward at the bottom when you're here, then you need to think of connecting the lower ribs down towards your pelvis. So in Anasara, this is kidney loop. So think about your back muscles relaxing, lower ribs growing long. Now, scapular-thoracic dissociation again. So on the right side, because you're hanging onto your right wrist, elevate that shoulder girdle without losing control of your thorax or your neck. Elevate, so dissociate scapular movement, shoulder girdle movements, clavicle as well, from the rings. Now once you're in maximum elevation, keep that. Root down into your right foot, side bend to the left. As you side bend to the left, a vector will show up. Play with it. Go into some flexion, extension, rotation, side bending. It should feel like a, what did you call it? A pleasantly something or other nice stretch. And breathe into it. And then come back up. Switch arms. This is where the TOS symptoms start to show up. Your hand starts to tingle and go numb. And then you may have to come back down as I do because my clavicle isn't like that. Correct it. The arm float up. And it doesn't have to be right overhead. The most elevation I have here right now is here. Hang on to your wrist. Can you get the shoulder blade to slide up and down? And this may be all you give them. Keep your ring still, your neck still. Dissociate the movement of the arm and shoulder blade. But if you want more, hold it in elevation and now glide your rib cage under your scapula. Move your scapula. Move your rib cage on your scapula. Come to the limit, side bend to the other side, flex, extend. Find the vector, breathe. Let your arms float up. Okay. And the final one, I want you to work in groups of 2 with this. And this is the side angle pose. So modified Parsakonasana, which is so nice for rings and neck. So, Kathy, then we'll do this one here. Okay? Here's what you're going to do. Slide your shoes off. And then we're done. Stand up on that. Turn to the wall that way. So take a step back with your left foot and spin and plant it parallel to the back of the mat. Drop the plumb line with your hands like this and lean over your feet. Okay? And the arms back down. Speak about how happy you need. Good. So now, do you have a driver somewhere you know of besides this one? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now just go down into a lunge. Down you go. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh. That was a calm barrier. And back up. Hold it down again. Okay. So C3 translates left. Does that go right? All right. So, imagine a guy wire from here to here. Slowly and gently connect. And down you go. That's good. Back up. That may be all you do. Okay. Now, when she gets to the point where, yeah, keep that. Now, see if you can put your right arm down onto your right leg. Thigh down. Yeah.
Oh, this
side. Thigh down. Good. Now, stay long through. Connect through your back leg. Push down into your back leg. Imagine a guy wire from the back of the manubrium. Stack the neck. There it is. So I can get her system to lengthen by cueing the driver, okay? For somebody else, you okay if I let that go? For somebody else, I may be in her upper ring, so find me. Yeah, I may be correcting rings 2 and 3, come back up. I may be correcting rings 2 and 3. Down we go, come back up. Whoops, down we go, back up, down we go. Put your elbow on your knee, find your foot, root down, side body long, and maybe we now start to spin. Okay, thorax on pelvis. And when she's got, and then for Kathy it's on her neck, so it depends on where the driver is. I'm focusing on the driver. Okay, and then take your arm forward to 90 degrees, forward to 90 degrees. Okay, plug your arm in. Now we can start adding the same exercise we started with in lying, but in a much more difficult position, right? Put the arm in, slide your shoulder, whoops, nope. That's the arm bone, slide your shoulder blade back. Yes. Keep that, and now rotate these ribs. Okay, so way too advanced for her. We can see where you would go with that, right? So you start building it from the ground all the way up to, well, that's not gonna work. Because that arm won't work. All the way up to where arm in. So scapula on thorax, thorax on pelvis. Scapula on thorax, thorax on pelvis. Turn hand left. Right. So we start to very specifically dissociate the different parts. So the scapula moves on the rings, the neck moves on the rings. Nothing is dictating anybody else. Okay? So to wrap it up, 5 minutes, let's just play with some of those things. Tell your partner where your correction is. See if you can get the middle lunge, the thoracal pelvic rotation, play with that, scapular movement, and independent head neck movement.